I know thy works, and tribulation, and poverty, but thou art rich. Welcome to the Black Excellence and Abundance Channel.
Shaka Zulu Gakona, born July 17, 1887, also known as Shaka Zulu, was the king of the Zulu kingdom from 1816 to 1828. He was one of the most influential monarchs of the Zulu kingdom. He was responsible for reorganizing the Zulu military into a formidable force via a series of wide-reaching and influential reforms. The reforms allowed for the Zulu army to fight with Europeans on equal terms. He was the son of the Zulu chiefs Sindzingakana, and he was rejected as his illegitimate son. Shaka spent his childhood in his mother's settlements, where he was initiated into the Ibota Limpi, which was a fighting unit. He served as the warriors under Dingus Wayo. This is where Shaka learned his fighting skills and became a fierce warrior. Shaka further refined the Ibota military system, and with the Iseswa Empire's support over the next several years, he forged alliances with his smaller neighbors to counter the growing threat for the Ngwandi raids from the north. The initial Zulu maneuvers were primarily defensive, as Shaka preferred to apply pressure diplomatically with an occasional strategic assassination. His reforms of local society built on existing structures. Although he prefers social and propagandistic political methods, he also engaged in a number of battles. When Shaka's father, King Sindzingakana, died in 1816, Shaka's younger half-brother, Singjuana, assumed power as the legitimate heir to the Zulu throne. Singjuana's reign was short, however, as Dindzingwayo, anxious to confirm his authority, sent Shaka a regiment so that he was able to put Singjuana to death, launching a relatively bloodless coup that was subsequently accepted by the Zulu. Thus Shaka became chief of the Zulu clan. Now this seems harsh to us, but it is not unusual for brother to slay brother in an effort to gain power over any particular monarch. And throughout history, it is definitely something that was done many, many times. Brother slayed brother, father, mother. It is not unusual in the culture of monarchs. Now Shaka remained a vassal for the Mseswa Empire until Dindzingwayo's death in a battle a year later at the hands of the Sway, a powerful chief of the Ngwandwi nation. A vassal is a person who protects the throne, who protects the monarch. A good example would be Okoyo from the movie The Black Panther. When the Mseswa forces were defeated and scattered temporarily, the power vacuum was filled by Shaka. He reformed the remnants of the Mseswa and other regional tribes and later defeated Sway in the Zulu Civil War of 1819, 1820. Shaka became the king. Nobody could fight like Shaka Zulu. Shaka, knowing that he did not have all the answers, was smart enough and secure enough to surround himself with people who were better than him in certain areas. His area of expertise was fighting. He was a fierce warrior, and he did this long before it became common practice. He revolutionized his kingdom. He was quoted as saying, "I need no bodyguard at all, for even the bravest man who approach me get weak at the knees, and their hearts turn to water, whilst their heads become giddy and incapable of thinking as the sweat of fear paralyzes them." This warrior was fearless. Over thousands of years, the Zulu ancestors, the Nguni people, migrated down the east coast of Africa as part of the Bantu migrations. They eventually reached South Africa around the 9th century AD, where a small Zulu clan formed. In the early 1800s, the famous Zulu warrior and king, Shaka, united the Zulu tribes into a powerful kingdom. He is known for his military genius. The Zulu tribe celebrate Shaka Day in September each year. His legacy lives on to this day. This combat genius created and implemented the Bullhorn Formation. This is a three-part attack tactic where the most experienced fighters would form the chest of a bull, pressing enemies at a vulnerable position. The youthful and aggressive warriors would then form the horns and trap the enemy within the semicircle. The rest of the fighters would form the loin, taking position behind the chest to ward off any additional attackers. This formation was so effective that he usually overwhelmed his opponent and he rarely lost a battle. Another one of the innovations that Shaka brought to his warriors was the shorter spears. They were unfit for throwing. These spears required them to get up close with their enemies, and immediately the nature of the combat became more personal and committed for the Zulu, while becoming vastly more terrifying for his enemies. While their enemies had the spears that they threw, the Zulu warriors had a much shorter spear, which was way more effective in combat. Within 12 years, the Zulu went from another modest tribe to a kingdom which fielded armies of more than 35,000. Shaka loved to travel, and he had a very low tolerance for weakness. He did not tolerate any type of fear. If you were a fearful warrior, you did not last in the Shaka Zulu kingdom. As a king, Shaka had his shortcomings. He was a way better warrior than he was a king. But he was indeed a king. This legendary warrior left a legacy that stands to this day, and he's one of the greatest fighters the world has ever known. King Shaka Zulu.
Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And remember, thou art rich.